minutes of 1/13/25 and 1/29/25. Any discussion on that?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from 1/13/25 and 1/29.
Motion's been made to approve 1/13 and 1/29/25 town board minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, that should be, no, that is a roll call. Approve payment of bills as presented. Roll call vote.
Village of Palmyra, $2,978.25. That is additional money for the fire and EMS contract. The fees went up 5%, and I did not know that, so we underpaid them. Jefferson County, $2,949.98. Palmyra True Value, $8.65. Harrison Williams McDonald, $1,940. Northwest Services, $15,418.75. Northwest Services, $2,945.25. Lang Enterprises, $258.08. Josh Gajewski, $230.87. Rob Martins, $230.87. Frank Sauter, $369.40. Frank Sauter, $408.46. Michelle Smith, $3,329.22. Michelle Smith, $666.03. Humane Society of Jefferson County, $280.40. LRS, $10,182.98. And We Energy, $64.35.
Motion to approve the bills as read.
Second.
Any further discussion on paying the bills? If not, we need a roll call vote.
Sauter,
Aye.
Gajewski,
Aye.
Martins.
Aye.
Okay, public comment. Citizen statements should be limited to 3 minutes. Although the public may speak on any item not included on this agenda, the board may not respond or discuss the issue brought forward at this time. In accordance with open meeting laws, the board must notice an item on the agenda to allow for discussion on that matter. Your comments will be considered and may be placed on a future agenda for further discussion. Do we have anybody signed up? Okay, when I call your name, stand up, state your name and address, please. Paul
Canestra.
Canestra.
Okay. I'm here again to speak about the wakeboard ordinance that we still want to continue to push forward and get approved by this entity here. 3 points I want to bring up, and I'll be brief. I know you guys considered the impact of a negative impact on the lake and what it does to lake property and then ultimately taxes and the tax base. So if our property values drop because the lake becomes a lousy place to be, your tax base drops. But I think there's other things to be considered as well. We invested in our homes, right? We bought them and we invested in them. Nobody invests in a depreciating asset, and I don't want to do that either. And if that lake goes, the worse it becomes, that less that value becomes for our home. And I think that's an important thing to consider is the tax base, but also the homeowners themselves who invested in those properties. The third thing I think that's very important is the community spend. So we're not the only ones who come out or we don't live out here full time. But we come out here week after week after week, and we spend the money out here week after week after week. Now I know a lot of the places aren't necessarily town, there's also village, etc. But we spend money at T&Ds, we spend money at the edge of town, we spend money, well, everybody knows that you can't make just one trip to the hardware store to get a project done around your house. So there's multiple trips over to the True Value hardware store. So I think the less frequent we come out here, the less money we spend of our disposable income into the community as a whole. So take those things into account as well as you consider that wakeboard ordinance and what it's doing to our lake and ultimately what it's doing to our spend and to our property values. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would say you're related to this person, Lori
Well, what makes you say that? Yeah, I'm Lauren Canastra. We're at W 1386 South Shore Drive. I request that you respect the wishes of the Blue Spring Lake property owners and vote to adopt the ordinance you're now reviewing. Just a recap of how we got to here. Over the past several years, numerous property owners have voiced concern about damage being done to the lake by the bow up, downward prop wash operation of wake boats. At the August 2024 Blue Spring Lake Management District Annual Meeting, an ordinance restricting the mode of operation of wake boats was presented. After extensive discussion by comments of residents both for and against the ordinance, a motion was passed to form a committee to review the ordinance. The committee met twice and after extensive discussion approved amended ordinance. 2 Zoom informational meetings were offered to the public, giving all residents an opportunity to ask questions and raise objections. After discussion at 3 meetings, the Blue Spring Lake Management District Board approved the ordinance. A special meeting of the Lake District residents was held. Again, extensive discussion was heard. Of the residents in attendance, 94% approved of the ordinance. Just a note, there's been ample opportunity for opinions to be heard, both for and against the ordinance. If people against the ordinance have chosen not to participate in the discussion, it's not up to us to speculate on their rationale. The ordinance was reviewed by the DNR and no changes were mandated. Nothing in the ordinance is out of compliance with state statute. The ordinance is now in your hands. Please honor the significant work already done, reviewing research data, developing the ordinance, and allowing for input by all concerned residents. Please vote to adopt an ordinance restricting certain artificial wake enhancement. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Eileen, how are you today?
I'm good. Here I am again.
It's your turn.
My name is Eileen Elke and I live at 1286 South Shore. And I just want to talk a little bit again about the wake boat follow-up boating. I actually put together a little pamphlet with information for you fellows. I don't know how much you know about boats, but know that ski boats go like this and wake boats go like this. And their prop truss goes right down to the bottom of the lake, and it's killing our lake. We've got to do something about it, and we hope that you will help us. And we did have a meeting of everyone on the lake, got a message that we were having a meeting, and we had that on December 7th, and people overwhelmingly voted to pass an ordinance to ban follow-up boating. And those folks can drive without following up. They can swim. And I don't know why they don't. That's for them to say, not me. But I sure hope that we can do something. And thoughts on ordinance for wake boat, follow-up boating, protect our lake with the ordinance. It doesn't affect water skiing or our ski team. We're very proud of those kids. They work really hard. Actually, it protects our skiers and the team. The ordinance will make the lake enjoyable for everyone. And wakeboarding can be done without wake enhancement and wake enhancement technology. And people should be mindful of a boat when they purchase it by the size of our lake. It's very small and it's very shallow. And anything you read says not less than 30 feet. It used to be 20 and they're finding there's still damage. So now they've gone to any lakes less than 30 feet. You should not be using a wakeboard on. And I just wish that the people on our lake would think of the health of our lake. It's only 2 people that are ruining the lake for 200 and over 220
10
visitors.
seconds.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Jane Claw Martinson?
Hi, I'm Jane Paul Mortensen. I live at, my summer home is soon to be permanent home is W1145 South Shore Drive. Another point that I like to bring out is in second generation Blue Spring Lake. My grandfather bought the property in '49. While I'm not minimizing the damage to the lake, the toy is not the right size for the lake. The length, the width, and the depth of that lake will not support this particular toy. I wrote, and my mind is going 50 million miles an hour on this particular subject, but I guess I'm gonna come right to the point of what my hobby is. And my life hobby is horses. And I know that I can only have so many horses per acres. I also know that I am limited to where I can ride, be it in the DNR. I have to share the trails with the snowmobiles in winter. I can't ride on the road, and the bottom line is why I can't ride on the road is I don't want my horse to die, nor do I want you to die when you hit me on the road, or if my horse does something. The point of this boat is it decreases visibility. The passenger behind is flying through the air. What's going to stop him with the length, the width, and the depth of that lake from hurting somebody? Having been on that lake since before, half of my genetics has been on that lake since 1949. And I don't believe we've had accidents. I'm sure there's been near misses, etc. I've seen the sheer number of speedboats over the years, more, less, we all went around and around with jet skis. However, my point is not minimizing the environment, I'm talking about the safety. And then the next thing is what happens when the next person wants a wake boat and the next person wants a wake boat? Are we gonna run a lottery to when we could be out there on boats? You make a choice to buy a crew cab long box pickup truck. You make a decision that you cannot go to Madison and park in a parking ramp. If you made that choice to buy that truck, you really have to make a choice on where you're gonna park it. And he made the choice, they're making the choice to buy a boat that can't be supported by that lake. The toy does not fit the lake. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks all of you that made a comment. Correspondence. Well, I'll be the first one to tell you I've gotten a lot of correspondence reference the last subject. There's no sense in going into that. A lot of letters, or emails, I should say. Most of them supporting the ordinance. So, there was another correspondence about trees, I know. From a gentleman out on Little Prairie Road, not wanting us to create this ordinance, possible ordinance on having constituents pay for trees going to the right. That was another one. Anything else?
No, that's the only thing.
Okay. Move on to reports, I guess. Treasurer.
The balance in our general checking account is $141,168.07. The tax account balance is $2,062,680.50. And no, that's not all of our money. We don't get to keep all of that. And in the local government investment pool, we currently have $89,080.09. We earned $330.67 interest last month. I was not able to get the airport account balance today because the bank said I'm not authorized to have it, but we'll take care of that in a couple days. And that's about it for the balances.
Well, the clerk's report, unless you guys had questions for,
Real quick, the GTA payment, is that included in this month?
This was, you know, I can't remember what order I did it in, I was interrupted so many times today. But I think it was, well, I balanced the checkbook before the year. I believe it's in there, it's 25,000 something.
all good. Moving on, clerk's report.
Just a reminder, there's the primary election, on the 18th, and will be followed by the spring election on April 1st. And the candidates are listed on this sheet of information, and as you can see, there are some races.
Highway. Bob from Northwest, how you doing tonight?
I'm tired.
Get ready for Wednesday, Thursday, I guess.
It's gonna be one of them weeks coming up.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Actually, it's been pretty good this year so far. Everybody's saving some money.
We have.
We're going broke, but what the hell? No big deal. The cold weather's gonna damper us in doing things for a little bit. We still haven't gotten to, what's that laying off of,
Beatons.
yes,
Did you do something with that or?
we haven't done it yet. It's mostly a scheduling conflict created by me, but as soon as we can get that done, just so you know, we'll get it done. It's not a real big job, but it's still something I wasn't able to schedule in yet. We were gonna do some trees on one of the complaint roads, but the temperatures haven't been good to be sitting up in a bucket. For some reason, when they're up in the bucket, 20 feet up in the air, it seems like they're sitting in a freezer.
Well, that's true.
So they kind of opted, the people in the bucket, I asked them if they wanna work. And if they say no, that's probably a good idea. Yeah.
The warmer days are coming.
And
I had 4 or 5 phone calls or texts on your last job, and you did very good. Or you were very happy with that. So,
that's what we strive to do.
you got any questions, Joey? The fire department, where's it?
Good evening, everybody. We're way back here by the exit. I don't know if you got a chance to go out and check out the new dry hydrant install, but it is 100% complete. We went out and tested it out. Works really nice. It's solid as here, so thanks for that. It looks really nice, and they did a very nice job too. So hats off to that company for taking care of that.
We haven't got a bill for that. They don't
Yeah, it was
send
sent
us
to the
funds?
village, so I had them forward it on to you
Oh,
guys.
okay. That's unfortunate.
So, it's coming your way.
Now, to keep that clean, because you told me the old one was full of roots and stuff like that,
They put a basin, a big cement basin out in the middle of the pond, and then the pipe runs into that basin. And then they've got some sort of screen over the top of it. I'm not a plumber, so I don't know exactly how they said it's gonna keep all this stuff out, but in the event that something goes, we test it and something goes wrong, we have personnel that can go in there and clean it out. It'd be a lot easier to clean out because it's in this catch basin as opposed to just laying at the bottom of the pond.
do you have, can you back flush and push water through the other
Yeah.
way? Kind of keep that clean?
Yep, that's one of the first things you do in any dry hydrant for that matter. Just because you wouldn't want to suck up that big first plug of goo, I guess I'd call it.
Right, now, Lieutenant, did you say, you gonna give us a report for this last month or what?
I can, yeah. I did email it to your clerk. For January of this year, there was 28 total calls in the town and the village. The town had 13 EMS calls, the village had 12 EMS calls, 2 fire calls, 1 fire and EMS calls. We requested mutual aid twice, and we gave mutual aid twice.
Any questions on that, Joe?
Can you slow down that and rerun your numbers one more time, please?
So in the town, 13 EMS calls. In the village, 12 EMS calls.
Yep.
2 fire calls in the village. 1 fire and EMS call. And then we received mutual aid twice and gave mutual aid twice.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Unless you have any questions for us?
No?
Okay,
Thank you very much.
you bet.
Airport, who's here tonight? We'll do some speaking. Want to talk a little bit about the leases?
I sure can. The airport commission at the last meeting, about 2 weeks ago, finally got around to approving leases for both the T hangars and the land leases for the land, we call them area leases for the land underneath the hangars that are owned by individuals. The T hangar leases were broken down into two broad areas, both leases containing the same language. However, to honor the wishes of current renters of the T hangars, we broke those down, and we did approve numbers for lease rental
Monthly
rent.
rates.
Yeah, for both old tenants and any new tenants that will be coming in. So we have, we sent leases to the board for approval, and I'm not sure where that is at right now. Once those are approved, we will, at the commission level, approve the changes, and then we have valid leases to hand out to renters and owners of hangars.
This is just a statement, not a discussion, but Jonathan went over the leases, added a couple things which I don't think you'll have a problem with. These gentlemen haven't had time to look at it yet, so we'll have to put that on another agenda, special board meeting or
That's fine.
the next month. But we're gonna have what, an airport commission meeting, you said? The 26th, I think.
I believe it is.
So we'll get you a little bit of a change copy. It's not much, actually, it's much better.
I think we have a flow going that will work for everyone here.
Lou, are you sticking around for this discussion number 4?
What is item 4?
Review of airport proposed leases, updated leases, and possible approval.
Yeah, sure.
If you're not, I'll ask a question now. If you are, then I'll.
I can wait.
Okay.
New Spring Lake District.
Okay, there is absolutely nothing going on at this. Actually, as you know, I'm joking. Thank you all for coming and speaking your opinion and addressing us. I appreciate that. We have gotten, well, let me recap for those who may not know. The town has submitted an ordinance to the DNR to restrict certain usages of vehicles. The DNR has responded to us as of January 29th, I think. Have been working on that response in relation to their feedback as to what we should do with the ordinance, potential changes, and there are suggested changes to.
Suggested, not mandated.
Suggested changes to the ordinance. We can agree to disagree on whether they're mandated or not. And we're currently working on that to incorporate whatever changes we, I don't know, or decide, agree, whatever, to incorporate into the ordinance. Please understand that patience will be required because there are certain steps that are mandated that we have to follow. We also want to be extremely fair to both sides, pro and opposed to the ordinance. We want to make sure everybody has a fair shot at it. We don't want anything potentially thrown back at us at a later date. So we're going through this, we're dotting the i's, crossing the t's. There are, for anybody who wants it, there is a copy up here after the meeting. Come pick up all the DNR's response. And there is one of the things we've done is we have sent a letter to the Secretary of the Lake District Board to request anybody opposed to the ordinance wishing to make a testimonial of their opinion, to do so, send those to Michelle, and we'll include those in the amended ordinance. The reason that's important is the DNR pointed out that with our original submission, there were only testimonials from people who are proponents of the ordinance. And they specifically said, rather than just a paragraph or two summarizing it, since we had testimonials from the proponents, we need to at least reach out and request testimonials from those opposed to the ordinance. And in order for this board to be entirely transparent and fair for both sides, we are asking for those. If people choose not to send them in, we'll note that as well on any updated amendment, although we have, I believe, already received several, have we not?
Yeah.
So we're asking for patience. We know this is a big, important topic for many on the lake. This board is asking for your patience because there are steps that we have to follow. One of which is, and I've been in contact with the DNR warden who submitted the response. We went through the whole thing. I've asked questions he's supposed to get back to me on, he hasn't yet. I have left him a couple of messages with additional questions, so we're still working through this. But the board will update the amendment. It does not have to be sent back to the DNR prior to potentially going on an agenda for us to potentially vote on. But we do have to have a 30-day noticed public hearing on the subject. That the town, because this is not just a Blue Spring Lake issue, it's the entire town of Palmyra, because negative effects to the lake could impact, especially the financial aspect that you all spoke of, as far as, property values, things like that, that impacts the whole town, not just the lake. So we will have to have a public hearing, and Jonathan, correct me if I'm saying anything incorrect. I think we talked about this last meeting. We will have to have a 30-day notice hearing. And then assuming, for just a minute hypothetically, nothing's been decided, that it goes on one of our board meeting agendas, there are some key issues. If it were to be brought up and not pass, obviously nothing happens after that. If it were to be brought up and put on one of our agendas and it passes, there's a 60-day, it doesn't go into effect immediately, there's a 60-day wait period before it goes into effect. Okay? So if anybody was assuming that this would be a really quick process once we've got the reply from the DNR, that's not entirely accurate. There are there are steps we have to follow. So basically, to summarize it, we'll be taking the DNRs, getting some further clarifications from them, getting the amendment updated per DNR suggestions where we feel it's appropriate to include those. We will then need to do the public hearing if it progresses to that level. And then if it makes it onto an agenda, whether that be a special board meeting or one of our regularly scheduled monthly meetings, the board will have to decide how we want to handle that. Then there'll be, and hypothetically, if it would pass, again, summarizing, there'd be a 60-day before it goes into effect. If it wouldn't pass, then I guess it doesn't pass. So this board will be entirely fair to both sides of the ordinance to make sure that everybody has their say, and we'll go from there. Josh or Frank, or Jonathan, do you have any questions or anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think that was very, very good. You got everything out there.
We obviously have heard, I think 4 of you that have spoken tonight, we've heard that. So if anybody has any questions for me, give me a call at any point, anytime. I think we need to move on tonight to the rest of our agenda. But again, I've got the letter that was sent to the Secretary of the Lake District, if anybody wants a copy of that. And I've got copies of the DNR response, if anybody would like to have copies of those after the meeting, just come up and see. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Building inspector.
No report.
I got something though, something.
A variance application, is that what you're
Yeah, that just came today, correct?
I don't have any information on that.
Yeah, I wanna make sure that we all have time to do that. Emergency management plan. Went with me to the school, that was, yeah, we had a nice meeting at the school, emergency management. With the school, in case there's obviously an active shooting situation, some type of disaster at the school, this is starting to move forward. You know, the snowball is small right now, but it's rolling. The sheriff's departments and everything are gonna be involved, and we'll keep you updated. I think the next meeting will be real good at the, will be the end of the school year, May something, I think. So, keep you updated on that, nothing else has really changed, so. And who wants to be the sheriff's department? No sheriff's department. Get a lot of speeders out there tonight? No parking violators? Or? Okay, that's it on that. New business, number 1, request for adoption of resolution number 2025-01 to amend the 2024 budget. Josh?
Similar to last year, similar to 2023, this budget amendment runs through the meeting of December 9th, so that would be our year-to-date, excuse me, timeline when the last batch of bills was approved. Obviously in 2024, there was borrowing that was done that had not been budgeted for in the fall of 2023. That's the primary driver behind most, the majority of these, but the resolution outlines the accounts on the revenue side that ended the year with either a surplus in revenue or a deficit in revenue, as well as on the expense side of things, accounts that ended the year in either a surplus or a deficit position. So, in the big picture, budget amendment would be, these are all pre-audit, so obviously there's going to potentially be some, I'll call them actuarial types of things going on within the audit, as well as adjusting journal entries through that process. We may end up having a second amended budget, but excuse me, at this point in time, this is what it would be. So I would make a motion that the town board approve resolution 25-01.
Motion's been made to pass resolution 2025-01 to amend the 2024 budget. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
It's not a roll, but it's not a roll.
It is.
Slaughter,
Aye.
Kaliowski.
Aye.
Martins.
Aye.
Number 2, discussion regarding Jefferson County's proposed amendments to the solar energy system ordinance and possible recommendation regarding the same. Want to explain that a little bit, Josh?
Yeah.
Three categories.